Hello, my friend. If the technology is all right and it's not fooling me right now, it means that I am live in our Facebook community, retreats, marketing, and business tips for yoga and wellness practitioners. How are you, my friend? I am so happy to be here. As always, I know there is so much content out there. I know there are so many people, there are so many of us talking about so many different things. So I truly, truly, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate that you take the time to stay with me and perhaps, who knows, perhaps to learn something new. At least that's the idea of today's live, for you to learn something new, for you to learn something that can be helpful, and for you to get something that might be useful for your yoga entrepreneur journey. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is I want to talk about overcoming roadblocks as a yoga entrepreneur, and I want to share a little bit of my own personal journey. And as I say, I hope this is going to be helpful for you. So, I want to go a little bit back to end of 2018. That was the time when I started this entrepreneur path. Before 2018, I did some things before, also in other countries like Spain, in Italy. But in 2018, end of 2018, I felt that I did have all of the knowledge about yoga, about fitness, and I felt that I had a great experience as in a professional way, from a professional perspective, and I was ready to take the world, and I was ready to do so from Bangkok because I was based in Thailand at the time. My partner lived in Bangkok and he still lives there. And I was ready to say, I'm going to go and take the world because I do have all of the knowledge of the world, everything, all of these years that I have been learning, studying. I have worked with so many people, and now it's the time to, put a business out there and let it flourish. Just to find out, to my surprise, that all of those countless hours of education in yoga, pranayama, fitness, yoga philosophy, meditation, you name it, all of those trainings, they would not be helpful when it came to business. Okay, let me explain that. Of course, as a yoga or wellness practitioner, it is important to have your education hours. It is important to have your working experience. That it's going to give you a lot of, that's going to give you experience, that's going to give you exposure. But eventually, this is not going to be the thing that it's going to help you sell your programs, your retreats, and so on. But I didn't know that. I did have end of 2018. I feel so ready to start this entrepreneur yoga and movement entrepreneur journey. And I think that all of my knowledge in yoga and pranayama and so on, it's more than enough. But I realized that, oops, there are so many other things that I have no idea. There are so many things that even though I've worked for big companies and even though for big wellness companies and retreats, and even though I've run my own retreats in the past, but it's not enough to really have all my pieces all together yet. And so, not only that, because that was like, in the end of the day, that was like a kind of a roadblock that I overcame. But also during that time, I remember having some interactions with some colleagues that weren't very supportive. And this is what I want to talk about today, because you might find yourself in a similar situation. You might be right now at the beginning of your yoga or wellness entrepreneur journey. And maybe, sometimes you're going to hear things here and there, and you're going to encounter some situations that might not be very positive. And, you know, I want you to feel supported, and because there is so much that you need to learn in the entrepreneur journey, and there are so many challenges. If there is something that I wish for you, is that this road becomes easier. So let me share this story with you, because I wanted to share this story about this colleague. Well, I call this person colleague because this person had one of the yoga studio in Bangkok. That was the city I was in. And, we did have I would say, what I would consider a good relationship. We definitely had a good working relationship. And I thought we were colleagues and friends. But I remember that day when I was with this person, and I was setting it, I was setting everything up for my business, and I shared with them my concerns about the pricing for my classes. And the reason I was sharing my concerns is it was because in Bangkok, the price for a private yoga class, so to have a yoga teacher coming to your house, to your condominium, and teaching a private class for you, it was something like, it could range, I've seen that even for from 800 baht, 1000 baht, which is about 20 to 30 euro. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine spending whatever it takes for you as a yoga practitioner, as a wellness practitioner, to go to your client house that might be perhaps 45 minutes away, to teach the class, 1 hour class, a 60 minutes class, and then to go back home and to get what, 25, 30 euro for that? No way. So when I was doing my calculations for my pricing in Bangkok, and I saw that the local market has those prices that they were so low, I was like, well, if I want to make a living out of what I'm passionate about, if I want to feel that I am remunerated in a positive way, in an abundant way by the work that I'm doing, which I know it has a lot of quality. It's a quality work because I've been studying so much. I've taken all of these courses. I teach so many people. So that needs to be reflected. So I decided to charge, at least to start with, I believe it was double the prices. I wanted to, yeah, at the beginning I was like, okay, I'm gonna do double the price of the local rates. So if the local rates, they were around, as I say, around 30 euro, I wanted to do, actually it was more, it was even more than double the rates. It was almost triple, it was almost triple the rates. I wanted to do around 3,000 baht. And I wanted to do that because, as I say, otherwise it wouldn't make sense for me to have a yoga business, to go to my client's house. And so, after I decided that I wanted to do so, I was sitting over lunch with this colleague of mine. And as I said, this person was someone that I esteem. He was someone that I sometimes, we had a working relationship. And I remember this person laughed at me when I shared with them that I wanted to charge around 3,000 euro for a private class going to a person's house, which it's not a crazy stuff. I know, some practitioners would charge much more, but because I was establishing myself in the city, I didn't want to compete with the local prices because that was too low for me. But at the same time, at the beginning, I didn't want it to go so high. I just wanted to work with a few clients and then see how the things go, and then take it from there and start raising my prices. So this colleague of mine started to laugh, and that felt so off. I remember that, you know, I don't know. It felt so um, heartbreaking, heartbreaking when you have someone that you trust, someone that you talk about work, and you tell them, what is your plan and why you want to do so, and this person basically laughs at you. That didn't feel really well. That was like a kind of a pretty roadblock that I remember that. Other things, other roadblocks that I found, was I remember working with this mentor. He was someone I worked with for some time, and again, um, there was something that I truly didn't resonate 100% with this person. But hey, that was one of the only few people that I knew that they were helping other entrepreneurs to get into track and stuff. And when I remember I stayed not very long with this person. I stayed for perhaps a couple of months or so, and then I dropped from their programs. But when I look back into those programs, considering what I know now, I wouldn't say that they were totally bad, but one of the things that I didn't like is that these programs didn't really work on honing my own message, on looking into my ideal client, into targeting that ideal client, and to develop my message around the person I want to serve. And actually, there's nothing wrong with this person. God bless them. I think they were trying to do their best. But actually, you know, I think sometimes we might get the wrong kind of advice from a coach or a mentor that it's not meant to be for us. And the reason being, it's because, there are so many pathways into entrepreneurship, there are so many pathways into business. And I think the problem there was that I chose someone who was teaching me a way to do business that it didn't really resonate with me. So, yeah, God bless them. They were doing their best, but actually, this person encouraged me to be everyone's coach. And eventually, all of that led me to have like a kind of a wishy-washy message that didn't help. So that was another roadblock that I encountered on my way. And finally, another roadblock that I found was with myself, was my own uncertainty and my own fears about running my own retreats. So I would question myself, am I gonna ever be able to run a retreat? Am I ever gonna be able to, to sell a retreat? Those were questions that actually haunted me at night. When I would wake up in the middle of the night, I would think about how I was going to make all of this. And, what I want to tell you with this today is that you are going to encounter roadblocks along the way. As a yoga, as a wellness entrepreneur, those roadblocks are going to be there. And they can stop you in your journey. They can stop you in your journey, but only if you allow them to. Yes, my friend, what I'm gonna bring you today, it's a little bit of encouragement because You are going to encounter roadblocks, but you have the power to decide whether you want to pay attention to those roadblocks or whether you want to just move on and do your thing. And, and that's what I would encourage you to. So, just to just to continue with my story, I little did I know when I encountered those roadblocks at the end of 2018 that over the next couple of years, after finding the right kind of support and guidance, I would be working with a group of one-on-one in-person clients in Bangkok, and they were a niche. I decided that I was going to work with a niche that could afford my prices. I thought, okay, if the prices in Bangkok are so low and people cannot afford my prices, I am going to work with those people who can afford my prices. And a few, in a couple of in a couple of years after, I would have a group of one-on-one clients in Bangkok that I would go and teach home, and I would charge three three and four times more the local rates. So I never went back to that yoga teacher, that colleague, but I'm sure he would be a little bit shocked if they knew that, I ended up charging three and four times the local rates. Another thing that helped me to move forward, finding the support from the right mentors and the right coaches, was that I started to define my message. I started to hone in my message. I started to understand everything about niching down. I started to understand about my ideal client, who they are, and I started to look into their psychographics. And that really was the turning point for me when it comes to clarify my message, when it comes to understanding who am I talking to. Finally, the last thing, it's that by 2019, so I started my journey by the end of 2018. In 2019, I already ran my sold out retreat. And that was just like so much, that was like a boost of encouragement, because I was like, you know what? I had all of these fears. I have all of these doubts about, will I ever make it? And my friend, I did. And you know what? I know you also can do this. The only thing you need to have, it's a mindset to overcome those obstacles that you will find along the way. I'm sharing with you today the obstacles that I found, and the obstacles that you might find along the way might be a little bit different. Some of them might be similar or the same, but I'm here to let you know that you have the power to overcome those obstacles, and you can do this. And if you feel that you need support, please, please, please look for the right kind of support for you. Look for a coach or a mentor that you know, like, and trust, or someone that is ahead of you in the entrepreneurship journey, and so that they can help you go where you want to go. And my friend, this is what I wanted to share with you today. I just wanted to give you this encouragement. I hope this is helpful, and if it is, please feel free to share your thoughts with me in the comments below. Super happy to hear from you always. I'm also leaving in the description of this video, I'm leaving some links that you might find helpful. And that's it. That's it. All I wanted to do, all I wanted to share with you today was this little bit of my own story, encouragement, and I really, really, really hope that this was helpful. So that's it for today. I hope you have a lovely day. Take care. And if you found this helpful, please feel free to share with other friends, other people that you think might find this helpful as well. So take care. Bye bye.